Dear friends, we gather this afternoon to remember and to celebrate the life of one who filled our world with her love, her exuberance, her extraordinary spirit, and outstanding example. In humility and gratitude, we turn to the wisdom of our tradition for comfort, for guidance, and for understanding. Throughout the centuries, whenever any of our people felt lost, confused, adrift, they would say words of Psalm 121. I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and of earth. Shamayim Baretz Ezri Meim Adonai Osei Shamayim Baretz Esainai El Erim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Esa Enai El Erim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Adonai, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are like a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning shoots up renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to turn to dust, saying, Return, O mortal creatures. Would that we were wise, that we understood whither we are going. For when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory does not accompany us. Mark the wholehearted, and behold the upright. They shall have peace. For those of you for whom the 23rd Psalm is familiar, I invite you to join with me in its recitation. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. When I die, remember me with a smile and laughter. If thoughts of me provoke no love, only sadness and tears, I ask that I be soon forgotten. Give what's left of me away to children and old ones who wait to die, and if you must cry, cry for your brother or sister who walks in grief beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give to me. You can love me most by letting love live within the circle of your arms, embracing the frightened ones. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. My dear Jeff and Debbie, Andrew and Jacqueline, Lisa, dear grandchildren, family, friends, I find it somehow appropriate that we join together to bid a final farewell to Louise Elsoffer during our holiday of Hanukkah, an observance that speaks to us of light and joy, of family and friends gathered to celebrate, of playing games, eating delicacies prepared just for the holiday, giving gifts, and singing songs. Everything about it speaks to us of Louise, and this year, due to the vagaries of the Jewish calendar, Hanukkah began just as our Thanksgiving weekend ended. Thanksgiving was Louise's favorite holiday, and we can remember her even now, hosting great parties annually for her family, friends, and anyone who might need a place to be for Thanksgiving. She would have planned major gatherings for both holidays and would have been in her element as she supervised the guest list, decor, tables, seating, great quantities of delicious food, and the welcome of every guest. Her parties were legendary for their over-the-top nature. Everything she did in a big way, as we absorbed her irrepressible energy, enthusiasm, excitement, positive attitude, joie de vivre, and her sheer stubborn insistence that we embrace this life with all of the eagerness, optimism, willingness, affirmation, and gratitude we might possess. That's what she did every day of her 93 years among us. She led with her relentless optimism, her can-do spirit, her unfailing belief in tomorrow, and her genetic disposition to walk always on the sunny side of the street. She was a big personality who lived a big life with exuberance, an appetite for adventure and for food along the way, and a passion for new experiences. As we kindle the lights of Hanukkah every night of our 8-day festival, we will think of her incandescent spirit that brightened our lives for so many extraordinary years. Louise was born into a distinguished family in Cleveland. Her father, Leonard Blum, was a Cleveland attorney and served also as a magistrate for the Shaker Heights Municipal Court. Her mother, Doris, whose maiden name was New, grew up in one of the grand homes on Magnolia Drive with a small ballroom on the 3rd floor. This is in University Circle. Her father, Harry New, as editor of the Plain Dealer, was the first editor-in-chief of a major newspaper in the country. Louise and her younger brother, Harry, who, with wife Sue and daughters Leslie and Wendy, would eventually make their way to Hollywood as an attorney, and he as an attorney, film developer, and producer. They grew up in Shaker Heights, on Ardmore Drive next to the Fernway School. She was outgoing, social, and athletic from her earliest years. She was also a lifelong spectator sports fan. She played field hockey at Shaker, as daughter Lisa would do a generation later. In the summers, Louise attended Tripp Lake Camp in Maine. Another of her passions she passed on to Lisa. Louise made many friends there and at Shaker and at the Euclid Avenue Temple, where she was confirmed by Rabbi Brickner and maintained a lifelong membership, involvement in, and loyalty to her beloved congregation. When she aged out of being a camper at Tripp Lake, she became a counselor and lifeguard. At Shaker, not surprisingly, for someone who was so extroverted and socially adept, She became involved in event planning for such things as school dances and other social occasions. Louise attended The Ohio State University and Columbia University, but may have been more interested in the parties and the social life than her studies. At any rate, she worked as a manners and etiquette teacher at the 92nd Street Y in Manhattan and developed a lifelong love of New York. Louise returned home to Cleveland and Shaker Heights after a brief marriage and was fixed up on a blind date with Malcolm Elsoffer, who had also ended a brief first marriage. They quickly recognized kindred spirits in each other, as they both possessed a remarkable zest for life and a somewhat offbeat and quirky way of engaging and interacting. They married and shared 56 years of devotion to each other and to the life they created together, a life of family, friends, travel, theater, Oakwood Club, fine dining, Palm Springs, shopping, and constant activity. They were both big personalities who somehow made it all work, and brilliantly so, as they traveled to every corner of this globe, from Europe at least 8 times, to Asia, to Australia, to Africa, to Israel, to every part of this country. There were wonderful family trips here in the United States and internationally. Every time Malcolm and Louise went anywhere, they shipped back all kinds of exotic purchases. They collected artwork and artifacts, local creations and crafts, indigenous items, and folk art. Her love of travel motivated Louise to become a travel agent for Flight 2 Travel. She would discover the best destinations, hotels and restaurants, and Mal would figure out the itinerary. He found the sites of historic, cultural, spiritual, or physical interest, while Louise scoped out the shopping and the eating. It was a great division of labor, as they both had fabulous experiences on their many and varied journeys. They may have traveled the world, but the center of their world, the heart of their existence, was here in Cleveland, where both of their families were, and where they built their own family. Whatever Louise did, she did in a big way, as daughter, sister, aunt, cousin, friend, but most of all, as wife and mother, and then delightfully as grandmother. Out of their love for and devotion to each other, Louise and Mal welcomed into their lives the 3 greatest treasures of their 56 years together, their children Jeff, Andrew, and Lisa. Louise loved being a mom, and did so, not surprisingly, in a big way. She had only one speed, and that was overdrive. She wanted everything her children had or experienced to be the best birthday party, and Louise threw remarkable birthday parties for her children, with clowns, pony rides, magicians, and favors. She wanted them to have the best travels, as she and Mal planned wonderful family trips in this country, in Israel, and a 7-week stay one summer in Europe. Mal wanted his teenage children to see life from a different perspective. Jeff, Andrew, and Lisa were afforded all kinds of rich destinations and the stimulating exposure they provided. Any special outing to a sports event, for a birthday party or social occasion, came replete with McDonald's for a crowd and celery and carrot sticks that were invariably used as flying and projectile objects. Whatever Jeff, Andrew, and Lisa did in school, in sports, in their activities, Louise wanted the best for them, wanted them to be the best that they could be, and she was their most fervent cheerleader, however they were doing. She was boundlessly supportive, enthusiastic, and encouraging of each of her children, and Louise did her part. She ran the shuttle service for her kids as she drove them to and from wherever they had to go. She took them out for dinner when practices and games made it difficult to get home for a hot meal. And lunches. No one packed a lunchbox the way Louise did. Her sandwiches were legendary. They were so big and filled with layers of ingredients. They were so lavish, the kids wanted her to dial it down a bit, but moderation was not in her vocabulary. She was in perpetual overdrive, always going 1,000,000 miles an hour. She was a tornado of activity. Store owners would stay open for her and pay their employees overtime because she did everything in a big way. She was a great cook who loved to think of herself as one of the original foodies. When she and Mal went out every Friday and Saturday night, they often loved to dine with friends. She was never on time, as she packed too much into every day and packed too many suitcases when she and Malcolm traveled anywhere for even a brief period of time. She did not travel light, not on trips and not in life. Her reach was too big. Her scale was too large. Her embrace was too wide. She loved restaurants, sports, Oakwood and country club social life. She defined the concept of a world traveler and never met a destination she didn't like. She adored New York City and would use any excuse to go there, to shop, dine, go to theater on Broadway, and visit her many friends from camp, college, and from her years as a teacher. She enjoyed lunch at the Monkey Bar, family brunches at the iconic Tavern on the Green, and carriage rides through Central Park. Her last visit to New York was 13 years ago for her 80th birthday celebration. Louise loved any celebration and didn't have to go to New York to mount one. Any holiday, she loved them all, or special occasion would do. She loved the block parties on Calverton, had plain and peanut M&Ms ready for Halloween as well as a party, and she was an equal opportunity party giver, as she welcomed Rosh Hashanah in a big way, Hanukkah, Christmas, and New Year's with equal enthusiasm. Any excuse to decorate and celebrate would do. She could celebrate as well in Palm Springs, where she and Mal spent much of the winter. Anyone with that big and that powerful a personality could be challenging, difficult, even impossible on occasion. But she loved her friends, her community, and her family most of all. She was genuine. We could all feel that. She inspired and motivated and encouraged us with every fiber of her being. And she was there, fully, unconditionally, often unpredictably there. Except that we learned to expect a Huff chocolate angel food cake for any reason at all that touched her in some way. A new neighbor's move onto the street, a new baby, a new job, a loss of any kind. Louise delivered a chocolate angel food cake as an expression of her compassion, her delight, her presence. She rejoiced when Jeff met his Debbie and Andrew found Jacqueline. That didn't mean she was easy as a mother-in-law, but she embraced them both and enjoyed shopping with Debbie and sharing family events with Jacqueline. And when Lenny, Joey, and Lizzie arrived, she and Malcolm couldn't have been happier or prouder. As Lenny expressed on behalf of all of the grandchildren, she brought an excitement to being together, whether for a holiday, a birthday, or a weekday. It was a gift to have Lenny growing up so close, and she loved to visit Joey and Elizabeth in Wisconsin, or to have them in Cleveland or Palm Springs. We are all grateful that Louise knew of Elizabeth's engagement to Tyler Miles and wish she could have been present this coming October for their wedding on the 63rd anniversary of her marriage to Malcolm. It is remarkable to think that two such big, strong, distinctive personalities could get along so well and for so long. They shared many interests and were passionate together about their friends, their faith, their family above all, and about travel, collecting, going, and doing, and squeezing as much as they could into this life, including establishing charitable funds for the Jewish community of Cleveland, for Case Western Reserve University, for Montefiore, and for our congregation, now Fairmont Temple. They were patrons of the arts as they loved the orchestra and the theater. They were both driven, non-stop, grab life with both hands individuals, until that terrible car crash that changed both of their lives. I will never forget Mal's terrible ordeal in the nursing home. And I don't believe that Louise ever gave up hope that he would get better. In the aftermath of his death, wheelchair-bound and physically limited as she was, Louise never lost her optimistic spirit as she encouraged others to keep a positive attitude and outlook and to do the very best they could. That was her mantra. It is what she did until her body, never her spirit, could sustain her no longer. It seems as if the cold, dark winter nights have become colder and darker without the warmth and radiance of her glowing light. And yet, as we light the Hanukkah candles this week, we understand that it is the light of the Spirit, the enduring incandescence of the soul, that remains to brighten and inspire our lives with her positive nature, her unfailing belief in us, her unconditional embrace, her optimism and can-do attitude, her love of this life and of each of us. She was unique and original, a wow. She was a miracle worthy of Hanukkah itself. Zichrona livracha. May her memory rest always as a blessing upon us. And let us say, Amen. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. I call now on members of the family, grandson Lenny, and then I believe Jeff, Lisa, and Andrew.
My grandmother and I shared a lot of memories together. I was going to write a speech, but there was so much that I just wanted to come up here and share some of them from the heart. Starting out coming to Cleveland, I know we did a lot of miniature golf, bowling, a lot of restaurants, a lot of family time together, a lot of travel, sporting events, a lot of great memories, a lot of time talking with her, bringing food over, hearing her advice, hearing her wisdom. We probably did everything there was to do as a grandmother and grandson. She definitely taught me the value of positivity, always moving forward and always controlling your own life. I'm very thankful for all that she did for me. I mean, she taught me how to, she gave me lessons so I could learn how to play golf, and she always wanted me to pursue my passions, and it allowed me to become good and make a lot of my friends that I have today. So I'm very thankful to that. And she would always take me to Toys R Us for make sure I had everything I needed as a kid for my birthday. I enjoyed celebrating the holidays with her. Um, I'm going to miss her. She had quite a good spirit, and I hope to embody some of that. And that's pretty much what I have to say. Thank you.
First, I'd like to thank all of you for coming. My mom loved to bring people together, big parties, small parties, whatever kind of gathering. She lived the dash the big way. There's a place in Wisconsin that's called Dash Park, and it talks about it's not the year you're born or the day you died, it's that dash in the middle. And my mom lived that dash to the fullest. She took every journey, every opportunity, and she did it sometimes with that dichotomy that was my mom, where she believed two things could be possible. She wanted to always make everyone else happy, but she also always wanted things her way. And amazingly, she most of the time accomplished that. I mean, she was just that kind of person. She brought her spirit to the party before she brought anything else, but there was even more to her than that. Her journey was so tied to things like her family and where she was from. I mean, last night we arrived in town late, and I decided to take a small drive through Cleveland that lasted about 2+ hours. We started off downtown driving past the public square because what my mom loved to do on the weekend after Thanksgiving was take the whole family down for dinner, because dinner always mattered and a good restaurant was always a great thing. But she wanted her kids to see the lights being turned on in public square. She wanted that joy of ice skating or whatever else was going on during that time of year for us to experience it. And her family was Cleveland. I mean, from the place on Magnolia Drive and how her family was, this was her roots. Her and my dad always loved Cleveland, always wanted to be Clevelanders. They were proud to be Clevelanders. My mom grew up in the same house on Ardmore. It was like 4 doors down from Fernway School. And then she becomes a teacher. But at the same time, she's always the person cheering everyone on. So she loved you when you were doing great, and she loved you when you didn't totally measure up. And she encouraged you both times just to be as good as you can be, long before that became something that was adopted by the current culture. She stayed positive when things didn't look great, because why not? The trips were fantastic. I mean, going to places like Europe and Israel as a family brought the family more together. And my dad did love history, but so did my mom love history. She loved the history of the restaurant, or the chef who was running the restaurant, or the building that the restaurant was in, or the hotel. So they found a way to connect, and not just with each other, but with the people they ran into when they traveled. And I always say they because it seemed like they were always operating as a couple, even when they weren't. I mean, Friday and Saturday nights were time to socialize, go out with their friends. They were very much connected through Oakwood Club to a community that was built here. My mom's family was part of the original folks for Oakwood Club, and my mom was very proud of that. But also on Friday night, my mom would stop and make sure that we lit the lights. We gave the toast for the wine, even though it was grape juice, and we did the challah before she left, because it was important that we learn certain things, that we function certain ways, that we be certain types of people. But she also made sure that she became part of what was our journey. So when she came up to Wisconsin, she adopted the art fair up by us with my wife, where there was an event they would go and walk around and look at art and make connections with the various artists. And that made a real thing of connecting with what we do, of what we are. Once our kids were born, it was important to come up during various holidays to be with the kids, to see the kids, to invite us out to Palm Desert, to have the kids go on trips with them to the West or to the Canadian Rockies or to their absolutely favorite part of the world, I still think, New England and Maine, though they did love Europe as well, and our kids got a chance to go to England with them. So in a way, my mom made sure that everything was possible, and regardless of what was in front of her, she found a way. And that's what I loved about my mom, is she always found a way, and she always loved us. And with my nephew's birthday recently and my brother's anniversary yesterday, I think about what my mom used to write on everybody's cards, going back years. She always used to write, "I wish you everything you wish yourself." So, Mom, I wish you everything you wish yourself. I love you.
Thankfulness and gratitude that everyone is here to honor my mom. She was a beacon of light. Okay, I'll start again. Let me start over. Can you hear me now? Okay. First and foremost, I'm very thankful and full of gratitude that you're all here to honor my mom. And she was a beacon of light to me. I love my mom deeply and profoundly. She was my inspiration. A mother and a daughter have a very sacred bond that no one can ever break. She taught me so many things in life. And one thing she taught me, that love is always the answer no matter what's going on. And always look at the best that people have to offer. Look at the goodness within them. My mom and I share a lot in common. We both have a great love of music and a great love of adventure and a great love of travel, great love of family, and great love of friends. We also enjoy the finer things in life, whether it's an art museum or going to symphony or fine dining. I treasure the times I traveled with my mom when we went to Maine or we went to New York. I absolutely adored her friends in New York. She was very, very close to Ronnie and Lee Waldman, and very close to Marge and Margie and Peggy Schultz, and there's many others. She had a great love for teaching. She was a great inspiration. She had a great love for all of her friends, the Luxes, the Lovemans, the Crystals. I mean, the list is endless, the Kangessers. She had a great love for Oakwood Club because her grandfather was one of the founders of Oakwood Club. She loved to dance, she loved to laugh, she loved to have fun, and she loved love. Whenever she did anything, she did everything in a really big way. She always did things first class. She had a heart of gold. She always made sure everyone was always included. No one was ever left out, and I was always loved at all times. She always looked for the best in everyone. She's in my circle of light, my mom. My grandmother, my mother, and all the women in my life, I honor them. I miss my mother and my father very much. And when you lose both your parents, it's very profound. It really changes you. It's very humbling. And what I really want to say, and I got a little sidetracked there in the beginning, is that my mom was a very powerful beacon of light in every respect. She may have done things over the top, but she always had her heart in the right place. She had a great love of life, and she loved to have fun, and she loved being around the people that allowed her to shine brightly. She loved to travel the world. She loved to have her friends and family around. She loved to enjoy quality in all things. What I've inherited from my mom is the love of life, the love of family, the love of friends, and to be able to explore and travel and see and do and experience all the incredible, beautiful things this world has to offer. And my mom was my best friend, so was my dad. There's really no words really to describe the love I have for my mom, because it's deeper than the oceans and bigger than this world and the universe. And I know her light is shining upon all of us on this day. And she always made you feel special. And she always had so much love to give. And if you did something wrong, she forgave you and allowed you to make it right. She was one of those really amazing women who was very powerful in many respects, and a powerful woman in this world. And I know she touched many lives, and she profoundly changed my life. I am so thankful for all the incredible memories I have of my mom and my dad. I was very blessed to have them both in my life. And I know that all their teachings and all the things that I've learned from them, I will apply in this life. And I treasure them, and they're my rare jewels. And I just want my mom to know that I have the deepest and most profound love for her. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her. And everything everyone said is so true, so I don't want to repeat what others have said, except that there are so many incredible memories that I have with my mom and my dad and my family, and especially with my mom. One of the funnest times I had with my mom is when we went and had oysters in Digby, and also when we went to Maine and just the two of us, and we went out to Sedona, to Miamo, my journey. So, Mom, I know that the journey we've been on together is just beginning. I look forward to honor you in the years and days ahead, and to richly bless you as you've richly blessed me. I love you, and you'll always be sacred in my heart. Rest in peace.
A warm welcome to everyone, friends, family, those joining us on live stream all over the country. I'm the proverbial middle child, so it won't be extemporaneous. I've prepared remarks, and I want to start with thank yous to caregivers for my mom. She required caregiving for more than a decade. Regis Bartell and his Heart of Gold, the trips to Heather Hill to visit my father over a period of 5+ years. Bruce Perlman, who took over when Regis just couldn't take it any longer and took my mom to all the places she wanted to go. Love to Love, the caregiving company until May 1st of this year, who set up shop at Calverton Road. By the way, the home that I come to from the hospital in August of 1960, and a very special group of caregivers, unique to have caregivers in a home, caring for someone, and what's required. Cassie Jackson, 4 years plus with my mom. We had an amazing sister act, Carrie and Candy. Barbara Love, the operator's sister, and the first caregiver, Yolanda. These were among my mom's favorites and very important people in moving my mom forward in life. So on behalf of our family, I want to thank all of them. We're very appreciative. We feel blessed. To my wife, Jackie, God bless you. I love you for your kindness, your strength, your resilience, and our caring for both Malcolm and Louise over a period that lasted greater than 10 years. For my son, Lenny, I want to start with a great big thank you. Not only for his selfless support of both mom and dad, but his deep connection to mom. I thought it was a remarkable grandson-grandmother relationship. Finally, I want to recognize and thank Pearl at Myers Pavilion, floor 2. She was a saint in a Jewish nursing home. And finally, to the Maltz Hospice Unit at Montefiore, God bless you all. Wonderful people, end-of-life people who keep doing it over and over again. And special thanks to Sarah Axner-Gilmore, who gave us a gift of human compassion and support at the end of my mom's life. Thank you, Sarah Sager. Your remarks were beautiful. They touched my heart, and they did more than justice to my mom's wonderful life. At Maltz Hospice, I was provided a book titled When Time is Short. And inside there's a quote from the book of Ecclesiastes. There's a time to live and there's a time to die. And as a very Reformed Jew, both myself and in reflection my mom, I thought to myself, boy, my mom really did it right. 99.9% of her life she spent living. Even flat on her back at the end, chose to live, chose to have a spirit of life. She was remarkable that way, and I know you've heard that from my siblings. Mom turned upside down spells wow. And wow, what a mom Louise Jean Elsoffer was. Wheezy, as childhood friends called her, from the beginning made this world a bit more colorful, with a smile that would light up any room. Among her many gifts was her compassion for others. Louise was both generous and genuine. I'm going to need these glasses. In her lifelong effort to lift the spirit of others. As her son, I learned the value of friendship, family, and positivity. My childhood was driven by a mom that never used a map. It was a wild, often bordering on head-spinning ride by a mom filled with energy, exuberance, and the unexpected. Mom made our family life both predictable and unpredictable. Traditions and holidays were predictably over the top and one of a kind. Louise always brought our family together. No matter the challenges presented by family dynamics or life's unexpected developments, Louise was unstoppable. Truly a force of nature. And many times, you simply had to accept that you were just along for the ride. Mom was dedicated to her children. Jeff, Lisa, and I grew up in a home It was full of love. It was a centerpiece of celebration. The celebration of being a kid. She really lets you be a kid. We didn't have to grow up too fast. It's one of our great blessings. The neighborhood destination was Calverton Road. Louise was both fascinating and wonderful to our friends. Her legendary Huff Bakery double fudge brownies and extra large chocolate chip cookies always in stock, and her great big welcome to our home as predictable as the warmth of the sun. For most of us, Mom means unconditional love. For me, it was unconditional love with an extra helping of confidence. Confidence building magic. As many of Louise's friends will tell you, Louise was a cheerleader of others. Not a will try, but rather a can-do person who specialized in finding the way forward. A month before Mom's passing, together we called many friends and family to say goodbye. I held my cell phone to her lips. Those receiving the calls did not know that it was a farewell call. To be part of these farewell calls was a blessing for me. I would like to share with you the call to Louise's friend since kindergarten, Ronnie Waldman. They attended Fernway Elementary School together. It's a friendship that has stood the test of time. When Ronnie answers, Mom asks Ronnie immediately how he's doing. Ronnie responds with information that details health and age challenges. Before he got out his third sentence, Louise interrupts. Mind you, Louise is dying. She's in pain, but with incredible strength, interjects, Ronnie, you just have to do the best you can. That's all we can do. You have to keep a positive attitude. And I thought at that moment, as I looked at my mom, dying, boy, you are incredible. You really are incredible, even in this moment. When I left my childhood home and arrived at the University of Michigan, the 175-mile ride back to Cleveland began. On my return from Ann Arbor with my wife, Jackie, and son, Lenny, in August of 1995, I had come full circle back to where I started from. A reunion of sorts with the past, but also the beginning of a new chapter in my family's lives. On my return to Cleveland, Mom asked for a promise that I would not leave again until she had left this earth. You see, we've always counted on each other. I have kept my promise. The favorites on my Apple smartphone still show a listing of Mom. It's a wonderful picture. Her great big smile reminds me of her wonderful spirit. Mom is the easiest phone call you'll ever make in your life. And today, I would like to make one last call. Of course, this call will come from my heart. Hello, Mom. It's Andy. I will miss you every day of my life. I want to thank you for being my wonderful, impossible, incredible, difficult, amazing mom. I love you. Thank you all for sharing this day with my family. We appreciate you all for coming. Appreciate all those with us on live stream. God bless Louise. God bless Mom.
This might be the last big event of that generation that came before us for my family, the first half of the 20th century. And 5-6 years ago, my dad passed. There's something that when I stood up here, I forgot to do and I would like to do. But before I do that, I first would like to thank my sister when she came back from college for helping with my parents, and my brother for the decade or more of taking care of our parents in their later years. Being the kid who lives out of state, you sometimes just get to be in for the big events, but there's a day-to-day, and I appreciate that. And what I forgot to do like 5-6 years ago, and I really wish that I had, is I wanted to thank my mom for taking care of my dad. Taking care of my dad before the accident, taking care of my dad at Heather Hill after the accident, just being there for him, and then also being there for us. And then I wanted to do one last thing. At every party my parents threw, whether it was a stagecoach party at Oakwood where horses are running underneath the parking entrance there and everyone's dressed up in Western wear, or her travel party, my dad would sing at the end. My dad was a good singer. And he always seemed to make sure he sang this one verse. I'm not my dad, so I apologize for how bad I'm going to sound. But every little breeze seems to whisper Louise. And my mom loved that. And I thank you guys for indulging me a little more. And I thank you all for coming. And I thank you, Mom, for everything, for taking care of all of us. Dad, Andy, Lisa, myself. Thank you. I love you.
Thank you all for this good part of the protocol. Thank you all for those beautiful tributes to your mother, also to your father, and to your heritage. God, you give us loved ones and make them the strength of our life, the light of our eyes. They depart and leave us bereft on a lonely way, but you are the living fountain from which our healing flows. To you the stricken look for comfort and the sorrow-laden for consolation. O God, we see life as through windows that open on eternity. We see that love endures and the soul endures, as you, O God, endure forever. We see that the years are more than grass that withers, more than flowers that fade. They weave a timeless pattern in a world that is the dwelling place of your love and glory. Please rise. El malei rachamim shochen bamromim ametzei menucha nechona תחת כנפי השכינה, עם קדושים וטהורים, כי זו רקיע מזהירים את נשמת היקרה שלנו, שהלכה לעולמה. בעל הרחמים Astirab Seteknafav Leolamim Visru Chaim Et Nishmata Adonai Unachalata V'tanuach B'shalom Al Mishkava V'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Louise J Elsoffer, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen.
going to the cemetery with the family, please step directly to